Hey everyone, how's everyone doing today? Welcome to my photography chat live stream where we come together as a community and talk about photography. And as always, I leave it as an open Q&A. So if you guys have anything you want to talk about or want my opinion or would have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. And also, I'd like to catch up on see how everybody's doing. It's good to see a lot of familiar faces here, Cuber and George and Henning. Tom, Jeff Painter, good to see all you guys, and David. It's really comforting to have regulars come back every week and see you guys. Really, really just makes me feel good that I do have people that I can connect with and talk to about photography, like-minded individuals, that old saying. But and also I like to catch you guys up on what I've been up to this week. I've been doing a lot of photography, particularly wide angle, super wide, like 180 degree, 189 degree in this case with, I've been using this little Insta360 thing because they sent me some new lenses, so I'll be probably doing a review this week on that. Uh, but I also did some birding. Springtime is here, and we have birds pairing up and out there, and there's not a lot of leaves on the trees yet, so we can still see the birds even when they fly up into the branches. I was chasing down a flicker yesterday, but had a hard time. He was perched somewhere inside of an evergreen tree, of course, right? The one that keeps its leaves year round. And I could hear him clear as day right in front of me, but I just couldn't find him. And I think I'm down to my final settings for my birds in flight for my OM3 and OM1. More so on the OM1 with the button layout. The OM3, I'm still working out a button layout that works for me, but but the settings in general are pretty much set, and it works pretty well. I am getting better exposures and uh, better performance in general. So I'm going to try and share that with you. I have a few other videos I have to finish, but within the next 2 weeks, I'm going to try and share with you those settings and probably share it to the members only first. But won't be long thereafter. And I have started doing member only live streams. I'm going to try to do them on Mondays, not necessarily every Monday, but a couple times a month at least. I'm trying to line up special guests for our members, and uh, and then they'll be released later to the to the publicly to the general audience. And but as a member, you get to interact with these guests, through the chat section directly while it's live. So there's that, and membership's only 99 cents. Uh, so if you'd like to support the channel and the live streams that I do here, it's greatly appreciated. Of course, all the other links down below. But anyhow, I didn't see any questions come in, but I see Cuber's here. Good to see you. And Henning, uh, and having a really nice Sunday. Yes, it's so nice today. I want to get out, but I'm not sure I have time. But we're going to be in the upper 70s, maybe in the 80s today, which is just amazing. It's very unseasonable. Normally, it's like in the mid 50s about this time of year. And it's going to be that probably Monday, Tuesday, but today is pretty awesome. And yeah, sunny and warm, went for a hike. Yeah, it was really nice yesterday too. And it is important to get vitamin D. A friend of mine never gets out, never leaves her apartment. And she went out to the doctor and says, "Yeah, you're a little low on vitamin D." And I told her, "So you just need to go outside, a couple times a week." Uh, anyway, and Adrian, good to see you, and good morning, and Jeff, of course, and Tom, and David, good to see you in Indiana. So I don't see any questions up front or any topics you want to talk about. I guess there was something on 43 Rumor site about the Pen series is coming back, and rumor is they might release one this year, so that'll be exciting to see. I'm curious to see what they're gonna do, if they're gonna come out with like another EP7, which is was only sold in Japan, and they said that it wasn't received as well, or it hasn't been doing as well as they had expected, currently, right? I don't know how it went when they released it, but they said currently it's not being received quite as well as they wanted. And but we'll see. I don't know. It's odd to me. It's not odd, but it's interesting to me how our community, like people that are enthusiasts and fans of Micro Four Thirds, we really want to see like a Pen F or some compact camera, even a fixed lens compact camera, retro style. But then I don't know if the market really is interested in that. And people argue, look at the used market and how much demand and pricing is for the used cameras that fit those parameters. But the used market's a very different place. I think with respect to what people are looking for. People are looking in the used market for vintage stuff, right? It's kind of the audience to begin with. And that audience maybe, is not as large as getting new customers. And and that's where Home Systems needs to be, or Panasonic, or any manufacturer for that matter. I'm speaking more broadly. They need to be attracting new customers, and that new customer base, they're not looking for used cameras, right? They want to buy a brand new camera with the latest and greatest, particularly one that'll do better than their cell phone, their iPhone, or Samsung, Android or Apple. And that's actually an uphill battle. Now, we know as photography enthusiasts how good our cameras are and how much better the image quality is out of our cameras. But when, let's say, we take a picture of a strongly backlit scene, right? We want to take a picture of our friend and they have the sun behind them. We as enthusiasts know what to do. But you get somebody that just picks up, buys a camera off the shelf, whatever camera it is, takes the same picture, strong backlit scene, then what do we get? We get typically a silhouette, or their exposure is too dark. And then they take the same picture with their iPhone or Android, and it's perfect exposure-wise, right? And it looks great, right? The detail is there, the exposure is correct, the background's not overexposed, the foreground, the subject themselves is well exposed. And that's because the phone is doing a lot of in-phone processing to the image, whether it's rapidly taking, they do multiple exposures now and it's fractions of a second, things like that. And then people wonder why did I just spend $1,000, $2,000 on this camera when I'm getting a better picture just right out of my iPhone? So, these people, these new customers, they're buying new cameras because they want something better than their iPhone is going to deliver, right? And for the typical photos that you see people taking, they're, typical, like what they had at the restaurant. You take a picture that's in low light, comes out fine. You try to do the same thing with a a mirrorless camera. We know our shutter speed's going to drop, our ISO's going to spike, all these things, and the image is going to be blurry or grainy, right? Or both. And the average new person that wants to get into photography and buys a camera, they're not going to understand that, and it's a problem. So case in point, I had a person in the photo club ask me yesterday about they wanted to buy a Canon R7, and they primarily shoot, they like landscapes and doing exactly what I talked about, pictures of the friends and family in harsh lighting conditions. And they were currently shooting with an older SL2, which is like their little compact entry-level DSLR from 10 years ago or whatever. And they said, yeah, under the right conditions, yeah, my little SL2 takes a better picture. But, you know, when I'm taking a picture of a landscape or my friends, you know, they're either too dark or the background is overexposed, you know, and I have to pick one. Do I want to keep the highlights or keep the shadows? And they didn't understand how to do post-processing, right? You know, doing HDR and Lightroom. So I gave them some tips. You know, I gave them some tips and stuff. But I said, if you're buying a camera just without really, you know, getting into understanding exposure, because really most cameras today, they're geared towards performance, right? How many frames per second can we take? How quickly can it and accurately can it autofocus? You know, and you know, these things drive up the cost, right? Of course. And then how sharp are the lenses, all of that stuff. And I said, okay, so here, look, let's take the $4,000 Nikon Z8, do an in-camera HDR, right? And then you take the same picture with your iPhone. We did it side by side because, you know, there was a couple other people there. And the iPhone looked better, you know? Even though my friend did the HDR in his Z8 with, you know, a $600 Nikon 50mm f1.8, the iPhone looked better. And all they did was took a picture of me with against the window with a strong backlight. And in the iPhone picture, you could see the trees in the background through the window. You could see me clearly and everything around. And the Z8, you know, with well over $4,000 spent there, right? Just didn't look as good. I was too dark, you know, even though you could see the background, it was too dark. I was just too dark. And I said, you know, I know that the R7 has the built-in HDR, but it's not, you know, the in-camera processing a lot of times is not as good as the in-camera processing that a phone will do for these kinds of shots. Same thing goes for landscapes. You're going to go out and take pictures of flowers in a field, you know, a meadow or something, and then you got the sunrise coming up in the background. These are not things you can just snap a picture with a real camera and expect good results. You have to know what you're doing, and you have to be, you know, you really should be good at post-processing as well. And so there's a little bit of a learning curve, right? Going from, say, a point and shoot cell phone camera to a real camera. A real camera is a very powerful tool, but there's a lot of overhead in just understanding how the camera works, right? And how it captures images. Never mind the menus and all the buttons and everything, right? So I told him, don't buy an R7. What you need to do is really learn how to use your SL2, right? And learn how to get learn exposure and techniques for capturing images. And I guarantee the SL2, this 10-year-old camera, will take a much better picture than the iPhone. But there's a little bit of work involved, right? There's a lot of overhead and there's a learning curve. And that's where he needs to be, is sort of back to the basics of photography. So I kind of segued from, you know, looking for new customers and the used market to this other scenario, but they're kind of related, right? How do camera companies capture new customers when the average person, even though they enjoy photography with their cell phone, and you know, how do they capture that customer so they won't be disappointed? Because it's not uncommon for somebody to buy a camera with a kit lens and then never use it, because after a few shots they're like, this is not doing what I expected, right? So anyhow, I'm sorry for the clanky. I just made some matcha tea. Um, so circling back, at the very least, if OM Systems or Panasonic come out with a new Micro Four Thirds camera, they need to get the autofocus right. You know, it just needs to be at least as good as their flagship, because their flagships are still behind the other manufacturers to some extent. You know, I'm not saying it's bad. It's awesome. The autofocus is awesome in my OM1, my OM3. I haven't really had any issues, but it's not, it's, you know, it's not as good as the other manufacturers, not as consistent, because I do have missed shots, you know, here and there. And I'm not saying I don't get missed shots with my other camera systems. I do. Uh, but just not as much, right? For certain things like self-portraits and things like that. And I was looking back at some photos I took like 2 years ago when whenever I bought that A7R5, uh, I did use it a little bit. I had to use it on a real job one time because my EM1 Mark III at the time that I had, I can't remember what was wrong with it. I think I had to send it in or something, but I couldn't use my EM1 Mark III. So I said, all right, let me take my A7R5 and I looked at the photos and then I compared them to the EM1 Mark III photos that were taken about the same time. And certainly there's more resolution, right? 60 megapixels versus 20, but ultimately there wasn't that much difference to me, right? It just didn't seem like there was that much difference. And this is the dilemma that I think a lot of you know, not dilemma, but this is the problem, is just like with the Z8 where you can spend $4,000 on a camera and lens. I know it's on sale for like 35 now, so you get a 50 with it and you're up over 4,000. And then you buy, say, like an OM5, right? Which is 11 or $1,200, and with the lens about 15. So it's roughly $2,500 less or more, right? And you go side by side, there's not that much difference. The key difference between the two in terms of image quality and what people are going to compare with their iPhone, there's not that much difference. But where the differences are of course, as we know, in the overall resolution is a huge difference. And we appreciate that as enthusiasts and photographers. But when these people are just posting things to their Instagram or sending in an email to their friends and family, there's not that much difference. So that's why I hearken back to they need to come out with like a 700 or $500 would be better. A $500 to $800 camera, like in that range, that can perform as well as, say, their OM3. And I know that's asking a lot. That's asking a lot. Because there's, but there's something they have to do it. The autofocus has to be on par. You know, maybe not have all the AI detect stuff, but just make the human detect, you know, 100% as good as their flagship, right? And then if you can throw in bird and cars and trains, whatever, that's fine too. But I don't know. I feel like that's where they need to be to get new customers, and then lean in on the AI computational type photography so that when they take a picture of a heavily backlit scene, it's not the face is not underexposed, you know? Because that's a very common problem that people have with a camera and a very common photo, right? vacation, backlit scene, faces underexposed. uh, they have to work on that. And I get it. I've tried the face detect, and it's supposed to expose for the face. The Sony does it. The OM1, OM3s are supposed to do that. All of them still struggle. They still struggle with that. And and they certainly don't do anywhere near as good a job as just snapping it with your cell phone. So uh, they need to get the most common pictures that people take with their iPhone: food photography, vacation, and people, right? And landscapes. Because you go on vacation, you're going to take a picture of the mountains and all of that. They need to make somehow just focus on the things like right there, so that when people take out their cameras and they start taking photos of the things they really want to take pictures of that they used to do with their phone, come out perfect, right? Whatever you need to do that, and make sure the autofocus is good for faces. If they can do that, I think a lot more people will start to get into photography and buying cameras again. The used market, that's just a whole different market. Those are people looking for vintage gear. They're not looking for, they're looking for a compact camera, say, fixed lens or interchangeable, but they want a little compact rangefinder style camera, and they're willing to pay $1,000, $2,000 for these 10, 15-year-old cameras. That's totally different market. And I don't think we can translate that into the demand for new cameras, right? Just my opinion. Anyway, tell me what you guys think. Let me go back to the chat section. See what we got going on here. It's Cuber, good evening. And George, good to see you. And audio video is good. Thank you for that update. Let's see. And oh my goodness, Robin Wong is here. Hey buddy, how are you? It's good to see you. Robin's been such a great supporter and friend to me here on YouTube for many years now, and I really appreciate it. He has a fantastic channel, in case you guys don't know him as well, and reviews a lot of older cameras, and actually it also feels very strongly about bringing back, the Pen series or Pen F, or some sort of compact camera from either Panasonic or OM Systems. And I agree. I would love to see it, because I'm an enthusiast and I love these kind of cameras, but I don't know if they don't get these other things right, people are just not going to buy them. Okay. And Thomas is here. Good to see you. And Serge, good to see you. And Lino Temis from Puglia. Sorry, I can't pronounce that. Adam, good to see you. And he says, so we need camera company to develop an auto mode that is closer to what our cell phones do. Yeah, I mean, they do have the auto mode, but it's not as good as a cell phone right now for things. They've been trying. I mean, I remember when the EM10, it might have been the Mark III, but the EM10 Mark IV at least, they have the eye auto mode, right? Where it's supposed to figure out, based on the scene, how to take the exposure. And then they had that menu, like, I'm doing landscapes, I'm doing stars, I'm doing night, I'm doing people, I'm doing kids, right? They had all those choices in there. And the problem is, I looked at the programming for those different things. The star one was pretty nice, getting low light photos. But the problem was, it had to work within the limitations of taking a single exposure typically. Like taking pictures of kids. I remember the programming in the eye auto mode was, all it did was open the aperture wide open so it could maximize the shutter speed and use the higher ISO, right? So it wasn't doing anything sophisticated. It was just adjusting, basically trying to get the shutter speed right. And then you put it in the portrait mode, and all it would do is change the color profile to portrait, and then use whatever exposure settings to get it right. right? Um, and it may have even used a smaller, larger aperture than it needed to. Um, so yeah, it was not very good or reliable in the past. They need to make it better uh, somehow, right? Somehow. And we have the pixel density in the sensor now. Even at 20 megapixels, we could probably, I mean, let's not get too technical. I don't want to overthink it. OM system would do well to make an OM10 with a CP. Yeah, yes, I agree. If they can make an OM10, okay, plastic body, fine. You know, no weather sealing, fine. But get the price point closer to $500 or $600, and I think they'll have a winner. Because the OM5 is weather sealed, arguably a better, a better plastic and all of that. But if they can make an OM10, I would argue maybe an OM20, but let's call it an OM10. Uh, that had basically all of the same features as the OM3 or OM1, but they compromise on, plastic body, no weather sealing, and a few other things, smaller buffer, the things that cost money, right? Is weather sealing and build quality. They have to build it to a price point, but they need to keep the electronics the same. And that's what Fujifilm does, right, across the board. If you buy any of their current cameras, it's basically the same processing, same sensor for the most part. I know the XM5, XT30 have the previous sensor, but they got the new chip in them and all of the AI detects and all that. So I use RAW even on my phone. I know, right? Um, I don't shoot with my phone very often, other than just business cards and things like that. With great power comes great responsibility. You got to know what you're doing if you want good photos. Yes. And Henning says the average new customer don't come from an artistic point of view, but from a cell phone point of view, that's an educational problem. Much enhanced by camera companies advertising specs instead of real Yep, I agree. And good morning, Adam. All of us are watching and only 10 likes. Oh, thanks. Appreciate that. And straight out of camera for general shooter / beginner, AI driven in camera. Sure. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed the first half of this. I saw a vid on younger peeps liking more digicam style images, so some point and shoots would be great. So yeah, Panasonic has them, Canon has them, but my God, they want like $1,000 for these freaking cameras. They have lost their freaking mind. I'm not paying $1,000 for a little point and shoot. Ugh. People are buying them though. Like I said, a couple of weeks ago, I saw somebody buy a $1,000 Canon that was a little 1/2.3 inch sensor. It's insane. Brand new, you know. Probably because something on TikTok or whatever. That's a whole other side of marketing that I can't speak to because I don't have TikTok or, I just have this and Instagram and Flickr. I rarely Facebook or whatever else is out there, TikTok. Because whenever I get sent like uh, invitations to review stuff, they want to have all these data points, my social media, and I'm like, I don't even know how to do video on Instagram. I know how to post photos, but I just barely know. I'm sure I can figure it out in a couple of clicks, but I've only done it a couple of times and it wasn't straightforward. It's like I had to sit there and watch videos on how to post a video to Instagram. I'm just not a video person. Oh, and Marco's here. Good morning. And could cameras have a cell phone mode? I think they tried that before and it failed. Yes. Uh, you know, the problem with uh, I'm not sure exactly, because I think it was Samsung that came out with an Android camera, right? It's been a while. And of course, we all know where Samsung is today in the camera market. They said, screw it, right? Why put all this energy into making a real camera and then putting Android on it when we can put, you know, just make a better camera in our Android phones. Nikon had a Z6 III and ZR recall. Hope they resolve that bad parts issue. Really, at this time, they need to keep that in check. Yeah, Darko. Nikon quality control historically has been an issue. Now, I'm not saying that 99 times out of 100 the camera is perfect, right? Anybody that buys their cameras are not going to have any issues. But, I remember going back to the Nikon D600. I think it was a D600 when they were talking about the spots on the sensor. Then they came out with a D610, supposedly fixed it, but it didn't really. And then there was an issue with the D750. I can't remember what it was. And then uh, after my D750, I went to Olympus. And so I don't know what's happened since then, but apparently the Z6 III and ZR have recalls for some reason. And Lasipa says, hi Rob, my OM1 camera sensor and external condition is good. Have you any view on when a camera or lens should be serviced? Well, really just, no, I don't have any view on that. I've never serviced a camera other than for warranty repair where it stopped working. But, if you got spots on your sensor and you do that, you just take a picture at f16 of a clear sky or a white wall, and you'll see the spots on your sensor. Then servicing it at that point might not be a bad idea to clean the sensor. But yeah, generally I don't have any issues. It's not like the old film cameras where there was a lot of mechanical parts and you had to grease and lube and clean constantly. Those kind of cameras. Our digital cameras are solid state, right? Except for the shutter, which is mechanical. And even on some cameras, that's not even the case. But yeah, I don't think you need to worry. If you're not having any problems with your camera, you don't need to do anything. Just keep it clean, right? I use a little toothbrush sometimes to clean my camera off, and a vacuum, portable vacuum, and a blower. And I just keep the cameras clean. And Abhinav, oh, okay, good. Yeah, this name thing on YouTube is crazy. They changed it so that I only see the user ID. I don't see the actual name that you put in. So, and good evening, Rob. Late to the party. I've been trying light painting. I need to think about how to get these better. Yeah, just practice. You'll be okay. When you use live comp, just use live comp and then you'll figure it out. I have a video on live comp that's actually not bad from an educational standpoint, and that'll give you some idea. And good morning, Julio. Good to see you. And let's see. Oh, Heather's here. Beautiful here in Atlanta today. My camera's is at OM System for annual clean and maintenance. Okay. I mean, it doesn't hurt. I mean, what they also do is they update the firmware when you send it in. Still finding my 2026 photography module, but I got out last night a bit. Good, good. And let's see. I'm gonna change my name back to my. Okay, sorry. I had to go backwards on the chat because it jumped up on me and then I had to jump around. Okay. Let's see. Wow, there's a lot here. I hate Instagram. It compromises photos a lot. Well, I like it because I don't worry about how it compresses things. It's good enough. I mean, nothing online is really going to be as good as looking at it on your own computer screen, typically, right? If you have a good monitor. But I use Instagram primarily just to share things, just what I've been doing, and then I share all of the uh, EXIF data. So if people are interested in that, so it's more for educational purposes than say sharing a portfolio or trying to share my best images, right? I share a lot of images that are not my best images, and I made a comment uh, somewhere on one of the forums about I've pretty much accepted that I may never be successful photographer, successful YouTuber. Maybe I will. I don't know. But that's not my goal, right? My goal is the journey and just enjoying the photography and getting pictures that I like and enjoy taking, right? And whether or not they're going to be good is irrelevant to me. If they're if if the if I was able to capture the image in a way that I wanted to, right? I wanted this exposure, I wanted this subject, I wanted this lighting, etc. I'm happy. And I enjoy that process. It's the process, I guess, is the best way to put it. I enjoy the process of capturing images. And then to that end, I also enjoy the different types of gear that I have to capture those images and how they do it. And then posting on Instagram is just sort of a just kind of a habit now, right? I just post things, whether they're good photos or not. But if you want the best quality, I think online, Flickr is probably the best. I wish it had more visibility that Instagram has, but Instagram seems to be, seems to be more video centric now. Um, but I don't worry about it. The people that follow me on Instagram are coming to see my images and the EXIF data and the kind of things that I do. And Darko says, Rob, with your experience, I bet you could take that DF on a job and it succeed with awesome imagery with screwdriver. Yeah. Yeah, because, the photo jobs that I do, basically offices, right? I take pictures of offices and buildings. Uh, Resolution's not important. Autofocus is not important. All that's important is exposure. So I do exposure bracketing and flash photography. It, you know, the performance of the camera itself doesn't matter. I don't need 50 frames per second or 100 frames per second. I don't need bird detect, you know. I shoot at f8 on my Micro Four Thirds. If I was shooting full frame, I'd be shooting like f11, right? and then I set the focus point about 1/3 of the way into the frame, and for distance, I set the level, and I make my line straight, and I take a picture, right? And I bracket those, and then I take another couple of pictures with flash, and that's it. So a DF would be fine. I used to shoot with my EM10 Mark II, my photo jobs, because it was more than good enough for that. And that's what converted me. That's partially the reason I switched to Micro Four Thirds, is because I could go with just a little camera bag like this. And I could carry everything I needed: 7-14, EM10 Mark II, and a flash. That's all I needed. But when I had my D750, everything was double the size and weight at the time, because I needed super wide angle lens. I think I shot with a, what did I use back then? I can't remember. I think I had my 20mm f1.8, my D750, and then I used my SB800 for flash. That's all I had back then. And then I switched over to the EM10, and I got the little 7-14 f2.8, so I was getting wider shots. I'm sorry, f4. I was getting wider shots, and I still use the SB 800 at the time because I was doing all manual, so I didn't need a smart trigger. You know, I didn't need TTL. So I don't even need TTL for my flash. And Abhinav says the OM is literally dead in India, and everyone wants Sony or Canon or maybe Nikon. Yep, I believe it. And Rob, I have an OM5. Would I gain anything in upgrading to the Mark II? Not really. I mean, I can't think of anything the OM5 Mark II really does. Yeah, I wouldn't do it. Because you know, primarily it has the same sensor and autofocusing. It may have some additional computational things. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember, but there was nothing, no reason to upgrade. I would wait for a Mark III, like an OM5 Mark III, and see what it does. Or if you want to really upgrade, OM3, OM1, those would be better choices. And ATR Bear, good to see you. And David says the interview done at CP was really interesting. It's in French, so I had to use Google Translate to read it. What I got is that sales had met expectation. They got money for R&D. Okay, good. And Dub Snapper says, I saw the issue with the focus peak on EP7. I thought adding peaking to a function button was optional, but it seems it's compulsory, at least in my case. Anyway, it's working now. Okay, good, good. Because I think we had tried to figure that out last week, right? So I'm glad you got that working. Cell phones are well over 1,000, but they are, I haven't bought a cell phone in about 4 years. And I think I paid $400 for mine because it was a previous generation and they were clearing them out. But back when I was shopping around, it's all you see are ads, at least where I live. All I see are ads on TV. Trade in your old iPhone and get a new one free. You know, so yeah, if you just buy them off the shelf, they're $1,000 or more. But typically, people are buying them with a cell phone plan, and very little money comes out of pocket up front. But then they're paying $100 a month for their phone, right, for the service. Said I read point and shoot sales cameras doubled last year. It's possible. But double of what? It's all relative, right? If they sold one point and shoot and it doubled to 2, that's not a big deal, right? But if they were selling 1 million and it doubled to 2 million, that's a big deal. So I don't know what it means to say point and shoot camera sales have doubled, right? What is it relative to, say, the regular mirrorless camera markets or the fixed lens camera markets? I don't know. It's always relative, right? So what if a new pen camera could auto send to cell phone and OI share could then do auto process the image and make the cell phone perfect? That would be a solution. If they could do that without draining the battery, like in 30 minutes, right? I mean, that's part of the problem, to have a constant online. They would have to send a JPEG, a compressed JPEG, and send it over. Because with even my cell phone, my JPEGs are typically only 1 or 2 megabytes. They're not very big files. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I mean, I don't know if they should really be trying to make cameras more like a cell phone in that sense to get new customers. I mean, I know I just spent the first half hour saying they should do that, but when you think about it, uh, if they do come out with a camera that can do basically what a cell phone can do, or make it easy to transfer images to a cell phone, what's the compromise going to be? It's going to be the battery life, I would think. And Samsung has been using the same sensor for the last 5 generations in their Ultra series. Wow, okay. So I have the same sensor. I think I have a 12 megapixel in mine. I have a Samsung S22. On Marketplace, an XE3 $900. Bought mine almost new for 375. Guess I should have kept it. I know, right? Why would people pay $900 for an XE3? It's just insane. Oil spots on sensor D750, weak shutter failures. Oh, okay. Yeah, Nikon just has a history of that, right? Oh, cool. Doing some light painting. Yeah, it's not hard. LiveComp makes it so easy. And Heather says, I had a problem where it just turned off for no good reason. The eventual solve was to remove and reset the cards. Since I had the warranty, I figured out why not. Sure. So if we as photo community want to help our friends be happy with camera they bought, where do we focus our help and how quickly can we pull them from fully in? Best focus for our efforts. Oh man, you know, I would guess is if you can, uh, what I found gets people excited about their photography is when we go out together and I said, okay, you know, if I have the same camera or similar, I'll just take the same picture. But usually what I'll do is I'll use their camera. I said, let me use your camera and take a few shots, right? And then you know, you try and duplicate it. You know, you just have to teach them from the ground up. So what are you taking a picture of? What are you trying to do? And they might have some ideas of, well, I'd like to get down low to the ground and try and get some out of focus area of this flower, you know, something like that, right? And I said, okay, so uh, let me show you how I would do this. And then I would take their camera and take that picture, right? That's what I do. And then they go out and they try it on their own, doing the same thing I did, right? They just duplicate what I did, the settings, the, and, you know, my composition, all of that. And then they can expand from there on their own. So I found that to be the best way for people to kind of get excited about their cameras. If you can show them what it's capable of in the right hands, if they learn a few basic techniques. So I like Flickr a bunch. Wish they had better mobile presentation. Yeah, I guess yeah, it's not as fluid as say Instagram, right? I'll give you that, but I like Flickr. And Rob, have you done more for Rob, you have done more for the photographic community than most people. I think people like you and Robin are grassroots, like YouTube used to be, and I like it. Yeah, thank you. Certainly Robin and you know our community here, Peter and Maddie and all these guys. Uh, we've been here a long time, and we really haven't changed our core values when it comes to uh, our community here on YouTube. And Adam says, do you think they can put the modern autofocus phase detect into a new absolutely. Yeah, they can. I mean, look at the Fujifilm what is it called? XT30. That has everything, the Mark III. That has everything. It just has the 26 megapixel sensor, which is awesome. And it's like $8.99 or something. You know what I mean? And it's got everything. And the Gray Vanzini is here. Good morning, and thank you for your support the other day. I really appreciate the super chat. And oh, and Darko says the angry photographer gave up on being photographer YouTuber a long time ago, but Rob keeps on trucking, and that persistence, I respect that. I guess people talk about I don't know. I used to watch him early on when I had Nikon, but I haven't watched him in years. It's been years since I've seen his channel. Someone told me he's doing less photography stuff. I looked at it like a year ago and he had a bunch of stuff on there. Looked like rants about the current world events or something. I don't know what it was. I didn't watch any of it. And Angelo, greeting from the Netherlands. Thank you for joining us today. And they don't have anything new to give in smartphones, so the camera is the only thing they can upgrade. Okay. I'm not as familiar with the cell phone market. I mean, I wouldn't have upgraded my last phone except because I had an S9 that I had for like 4 years. And I dropped it into the toilet. So, and then it started to get a little flaky after that. Like it would just turn off randomly, right? And anyway, just dropping it in the toilet, if that's not a reason to go down to the store and buy a new phone, I don't know what is. Even if the phone was still working, I don't know if I could, even though I cleaned it quite a bit, I just couldn't use it anymore. So I bought a new phone and I've just been using this one. And I didn't worry about the camera and capabilities and all of that. I do care about the processing though. I am getting some problems processing things in the phone, particularly with this specifically with this camera, the Insta360. It struggles a little bit in processing power. In fact, it won't do some things that the Insta360 app can do because it says the phone isn't capable. So I may have to look into either a new phone or a new iPad. I have to try my iPad. My iPad is like 5 years old, but I'll have to try. I don't know. I'll look at. It's neither here nor there. And Adam says, one of our past Olympus visionaries I miss from inspiration is Scott Bourne. He shifted brands and even went to toy photography before finally stepping back. Do you have any photogs that inspire you? When I'm looking for inspiration, I will just look. It depends on the photography. I don't have anybody I go to on a consistent basis. I just randomly scan images on Flickr and I find interesting images. Not really. I can't name anybody. I mean, I really liked Yusuf Karsh when I was doing the self-portraits. I really loved how he did the lighting for that. And Platon, I really like his wide-angle photography or wide-angle portraits. So in portrait photography, I have a couple of people I really like and find a lot of inspiration from. When it comes to, say, landscape photography, yeah, nobody in particular. I'm not really a big landscape guy. What else is there? Birding. Birding, I just fill the frame with the bird the best I can. I don't know. I think it's, if I look for inspiration, it's in the portrait photography side. There are some street photographers that I really enjoyed watching, like Eggleston and Sal Leader. Those two are really, really, I really like their photography. I thought it was really interesting. Sal Leader, I liked his because he wasn't shooting wide angle all the time and he had really good colors. It was very nostalgic. It's hard to find that where I live here. Sort of the colors and specifically the colors. Where I live, everything is just glass and steel, right? And, so I have grays and silvers, sometimes red brick, but that's about it. It's not like when we watch Robin Wong's videos around, in Malaysia where everybody paints their houses, paints the buildings. Everything is bright yellow, bright blue. Lots of interesting colors all over the place. I just don't have that here. It's very, very bland. It's either brick or glass and steel. There's a little bit in Alexandria, if you go down some residential areas where every house is painted kind of a different color. So that's interesting sometimes, but the the subject matter itself is very boring. Like, let me share a couple of photos here. Like I did some wide angle stuff. Let me look at my architecture album. Now I like doing photography at night because at night at least you get a lot of different colors from the different lighting. So, you know, on my Flickr page, you know, this is just brick and brown. That's it. These are night. This is the same area. But there's really not this glass, steel, and brick. It's pretty boring. But at night, it's more interesting. We have all the different colors from the lights. You know, this is an older house at a park. So at least there's green shutters. But it's very, very conservative when it comes to colors. Now, the bird houses are always fun. But a lot of places you go around the world, people paint their actual houses like this. And it's always interesting to see, right? I'm just going randomly. This is in DC. Let's see. That's why I do a lot of black and white too, because there's no colors except at night. This is another glass and steel building. It's basically blue and silver. And the blue is because of the reflection off the sky, right? It's not very, very boring. Yeah, there. Brick, brick. I like this part of town. Now at night, this is a little more interesting because this was Christmas time, so they took some time to put some colors in. But yeah, here's another good example. This is the black and white image. This is the color. But during the day, yeah, during the day, this building is it's just a beige color. At night, this is really nice because of the lighting. But during the day, this is a really boring glass and steel structure. You know, brick, glass, steel. That's it. Everything, brick, glass, and steel. But at night, there's lighting. But anyway, I forgot why I was showing those. So I really become fond of cruising. Yeah, Flickr is amazing. Flickr is amazing. And gosh, thank you so much, Adam. I really appreciate it. Yeah, thanks so much for your support, both in the super chat and being a member. Every little bit helps. I was watching Casey over at Camera Conspiracies. He was making a video about YouTube shillers, and he said, this month I made less than $4,000. That's what he said in the video. And he's like, I have to go back to 2018 when I made less than $4,000. I was like, $4,000? Holy crap. I've never broken $1,000 on YouTube, ever. In my 10 years I've been on YouTube, I've never broken 1,000. It's just, and he's complaining about, geez, I made less than 4,000. Man, if I was making 4,000 a month off YouTube, God, I would be so happy. But yeah, God. So Rob's got so many toilet stories. Oh, God, I know. Happens when you get older. Let's not even talk about that. Good morning from northern Utah. I guess being late is better than no show. Well, you know, they say 90% of success in life is just showing up. So, uh, yeah, better late than never. And get an iPad Air, maybe. I have to see. I have to see how the processing is on my old iPad. My iPad is the one before they came out with the M chip, whatever that is. Um, but I have to get the Pro that has the 3D camera in it because I use it to do floor plans and things. A new pen will not be the Pen F everyone wants. OM will not leave the 20 megapixel stack sensor. Right now they have TruePix 10, so what difference will the Pen F be than the OM5 or OM3? Well, the OM5 doesn't have the TruePix 10 processor, I don't believe. I think it still has the previous generation. Uh, and you're right, though. Basically speaking, what would a Pen or Pen F offer that you can't get already? The only thing they need to do, I mean, as enthusiasts, we're like, yeah, just give us a premium compact camera, right? That can do everything the OM3 does in a rangefinder style. And it'll sell like hotcakes. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. Maybe I'll buy one, but I don't think new customers will buy them. People new to photography, they're gonna go buy the $500 or $600 camera first, right? Um, but from a practical standpoint, I think your point is taken that a new camera doesn't, unless it offers something in addition, something that the previous one can't do, what are we really getting? We're just getting a style. My argument is they need to bring in that capability, but at a much lower price point. My S23 is pretty cool with regards to cameras. Okay, yeah, I have the S22, I think. Yeah. Damn, just saw your Flickr account. It looks so good. Oh, thanks. It's okay. There's nothing special about my images, honestly. Uh, like I said, most of my images I post just because I like them, but I don't think they're anything great. But I appreciate that. Rob, I really like DTC2X. Okay, what is DTC? Oh, digital teleconverter. The handheld high-res shot on my OM3 is basically turning the 9mm f1.7, replacing the 17 and 20, and could switch between super wide angle and single button. Yes, absolutely. Yep. It does a pretty good job, the digital teleconverter in the camera. Definitely. Uh, and Darko says, Joe Edelman's still teaching. He stepped back to do his own projects. That's all I know. He was interviewed by Art Type channel. I assume he is on a paid basis, right? He's still doing tutoring and then also doing speaker. He's a speaker at events. Uh, but yeah, YouTube is out. Any kind of free thing. I used to really enjoy his community. He offered that at a very reasonable annual fee, but it just didn't pan out, unfortunately. Joe is one of the top educators in photography, in my opinion. If you can connect with his style, right? He was definitely very direct style. I don't know how to put it. Not everybody liked him. I know that. Uh, but I liked him a lot. I thought he was great. And he still is, as far as I know. And sent 5 Rob Trek gift memberships. What is that? Wow. Wow, thank you. I appreciate that. Hopefully they'll be able to join us for the member-only live streams or just the live streams in general. Man, that's so generous of you. Uh, for the heck of it. Awesome. And Joe Edelman moved from OM to Sony. Haven't watched his videos as I'm not in studio and portrait photography. He is more in art style photography, which may be under stress from AI. To some extent, like I said, it's if anything, I think for the things that he does, it would, I can't speak for him, but I would imagine that the AI tools available now would enhance what he does by quite a bit and save him a lot of time. But yeah, he was really good at portraits, and I credit a lot of the uh, techniques and skill sets that I have for portrait photography to what I learned from Joe Edelman. And EFG says, may I ask a question? When buying a used Olympus on eBay, how concerned should I be with shutter count if the camera is refurbished? I'm looking for an EM1 Mark III. Yeah, I'd worry more about how the camera was taken care of, but the shutters do wear out easily. You know, you don't want to buy one that has 200,000 clicks on it. And most places, if they're buying a used camera, like a dealer, they're looking for cameras that have less than 10,000. Then they feel comfortable giving a 6-month warranty and all of that, or they price it accordingly. So I would say, and you have to take the word refurbished on eBay with a grain of salt. I don't know what that means really. Other than maybe it comes with a warranty, but you know, if you can buy it from OM Systems directly, then I wouldn't worry as much about shutter count. But I would say if the camera has less than 30,000, you're pretty safe. So I would definitely not buy a camera. I would personally not buy a camera with more than 30,000 on it, unless it was a really, really cheap, you know, because that has seen some time, you know, that has seen some action if it's at 30,000 plus. And I'm not, you know, because things like electronic shutter don't register, right? They only count, they count both, but they only really show the mechanical shutter when they're talking about shutter counts. I mean, they're all rated for up to 400,000, but I can't remember who it was, but they were telling me that they had to replace their camera because the shutter was wearing out. You know, that they weren't getting accurate exposures and things like that. But they had a couple 100,000 clicks on it. So I would definitely stay 30,000 or under if the shutter count's available. I think I had the S23. It died at like $129. Just upgraded to the A16 for $45 fee. Yes. I've thought about getting like the cheaper phones that are like in that price range between under $200, let's say. But they don't have the processing power I need for the kind of things I do on my phone, unfortunately. And 5 new members, thank you so much. And Adam says, there's nothing special about my images. That's a good philosophy I have followed since I started taking images. I will share images I like of mine, but won't seek critique nor praise. Just be humble. Yep. It would be a cool thing to have a big image of Ellie at MoMA. What is MoMA? MoMA, I don't know what that is. And good morning, everyone. Good to see you, Roger. Hopefully, you had asked about Photolab getting XD3 Prime. Yeah, the new version has it, 9.6. And hello, Rob and everyone. Good to see you, Barry. And Gord, good to see you. Let's see. And give us a mono pen style camera option would be great. Low light, dedicated to street photography. I know I'm asking for the impossible, but have to say positive. Yeah, I would definitely buy a monochrome Micro Four Thirds camera, no question. And someone said the sound is very low. I can adjust it a little. Hopefully that's a little better. I don't know why the audio changes stream to stream. I don't do anything different. I just turn on everything and it should be good. Okay, and good morning, Wayne. Good to see you. All right, let me talk about some photography I did this week. And oh, Museum of Modern Art. Okay, thanks. No idea. I'm not really good with acronyms, you know? And honestly, what am I going to do with all the time I save by using acronyms? I don't know. Take more pictures, I guess. Uh, okay, so let me talk about a couple images. Let me see. Did I post everything I posted enough. We can look at these. So I did this yesterday, and what I like about Flickr is, if you leave your EXIF data in your files, they all come up here. So you can always see all my EXIF data. There's even additional stuff down here. I never look at this stuff, but you can. But everything is here. Camera I used, lens I used, aperture, shutter speed, the focal length. I'm typically shooting primes, and then ISO 64, the ISO number. And the file names, oops, I don't know whose number that is, but okay, my bad. Let me go back. Come on. All right, there we go. So the file names, you'll see, I've been trying to leave them what I originally called them, right? So I have the file name, which came out of the camera. Then I put in the build of DxO that I used, but like the version I used. I'm starting to do that now, but in previous ones, I left the file names whatever they turned out to be. So if I was using like Nik Collection, you would see a Nik in there. But anyway, I try to give as much information about the image and the processing that I can when I post something, so that you might look at this and say, wow, how did you do that? And then you can see everything right there, right? So this image was 1/3200th of a second at ISO 6400, and I was in full manual mode, just dialing everything in as needed. And I post-processed this image using DxO. I was really happy with this image. This little bluebird was taking a bath in the water, but there's this little strip of grass or something right in front of him. That pissed me off when I looked at it, because I couldn't see it in my EVF. With my dying eyes, I couldn't see it. Otherwise, I would have moved a little bit so that this wouldn't have happened. But still, it's a pretty nice picture. And then I thought this was kind of cute. This was, I was using Pro Capture because I was waiting for him to fly off. And this was one of the frames within that sequence of images captured. It kind of looks like he's trying to hide, behind his wing a little bit, right? I thought it was kind of a cute picture. And this was a Pro Capture. The bird took off. And same settings, I think. Yeah, 1/3200th of a second, but ISO 4000. I dialed in a little bit differently. But what you don't see is the sequence of images before and after, right? This particular frame. So before this frame, everything is perfect, right? He's sitting there, and then he picks his wings up, he leaps off, and then I captured this frame 2 or 3 frames in. And the OM3 with the 300 f4 kept track of this bird for about another 10 frames, give or take. But then it lost focus. And I attribute that to, I didn't have my sensitivity settings maxed out. So that's one thing I'm going to try and adjust and see. I'll try and pull it up. I'll pull up the sequence for you as soon as DxO comes up. But yeah, this was a decent image. This was my Insta360 image. I post-processed this a little bit into black and white. I just love this part of town. I love the buildings here. I wish we had a little more variety. But yeah, I was really, uh, really happy about this image. And this, I just pointed the camera up. So I'm in the same position. You can see this building, like this building here is down here now. So I'm just pointing up in between these two. I thought that was a really interesting perspective. This image here, I didn't post-process this too well, but I like the overall composition where you have kind of this nice little curve drawing you into the frame. Then you, of course, have the sunrise, and then the buildings framing the sunrise, right? So you have the buildings framing the sunrise, and then you have this boardwalk leading you to the sunrise. So whenever I have leading lines, I always like it to lead to something, right? Because so many times I'll see pictures of leading lines, but then they don't lead to anything. They just end at the top of the frame. And that's fine as a technique, but as a photo, it's kind of boring, right? So I tried to use the leading lines here and framing around the sunset. And I went with black and white because I didn't get a lot of color and there wasn't any clouds. So black and white it is. This is a little bit older photo. Well, I've taken this since I did the last stream. The last stream was on March 17th, I believe. So this was taken on March 19th. It's a little bit crooked. But other than that, it's okay. You know, I kind of like all the individual elements, but I don't think they came together too well. Because, you know, of course I have foreground. I have a little bit of framing here with the buildings, this bridge and this plane as sort of a nice little accent to the picture. But overall, I'm not crazy about this image. Even though it got 8 faves, which, and Francisco thought this was top quality, but I don't know. I didn't really like this image, but I posted it anyway. I like this image. Again, I'm trying to do the same thing, the framing and foreground. Nothing special here, but a little selfie. So same idea, right? Is I'm using the this awning and these chairs here to kind of frame where I'm standing, and then to the left here I have the light source. It's tough to frame wide angle shots sometimes because you have to take everything into account. But I think I have a decent feel for framing super wide angle, whereas I know a lot of people struggle with this. So there's that. And then this one again, I have these two leading lines to the sunrise in this case in the center. I thought this came out pretty nice as a wide angle shot. This one, nothing special. I like the colors, but that's about it. And some more wide angle stuff. Nothing. They had their Chinese New Year stuff out on display. They're going to take it down soon, but I wanted to just get a picture of it before it was gone. This is at the casino near my house. This didn't come out as what I expected. I really like the skylight here and a view of the hotel rising up above it, but I don't know. I didn't frame this too well. Something is off. I have to study this image a bit more. So this is one of the things I do is when I look at my images, I really try to find the things I like and don't like about it, and then use the things that I like about it when I go out again. And I definitely like this part of it. But the challenge was, how do I frame this? So I'm thinking, my thought process is maybe frame these glass doors with the glass skylight and forget about this side. I don't know. I'm gonna have to try that next time I go out. So I didn't work the scene very much because oddly enough, there was a security conference going on at the casino. So people were eyeballing me left and right. Everybody there were security people, right? So uh, I was getting eyeballed constantly. I think if you look in this shot, there's two more security guys right up here eyeballing me, you know. So everywhere I went in this casino or hotel, people were eyeballing me. This guy was eyeballing me. Here's another nice wide angle of Ellie. I like this shot here. And same thing, sunrise over the Potomac. This one I like a little better than the previous one. I kind of like the foreground on this, just all these rocks and deadwood. And then the sky is really, really pretty here, and it's reflected into the water. This came out really nice. This one's okay. I tried to use the leading lines into the sunrise here. So I have this pier, and then I have the bridge. This didn't translate too well, but yeah, this one it's okay. I don't like it too much. So this is what I mean about glass and steel. So we have all this glass, which is usually looks blue because of the sky, and then steel and concrete. It's just boring, but they have this one golden tiger here. And that's the only interesting thing around this whole casino. Everywhere else you go around this building, it's all glass and steel and concrete. And this is from the balcony of the casino. This was also the sunrise. But the sun is actually behind me over here on the left. But it just created this beautiful glow all across the sky. This one I actually used my OM3 with the 8mm fisheye lens. So this was and this was a high-res shot, I believe. Yeah, this was a high-res shot mode, because you can see the artifacts here right in the street. There's a little selfie. This is me on the balcony before I took that sunrise shot, I think. And then these you guys saw last week. So those are the photos I took this week, the places I've been, and sort of my thoughts on the images. Just shooting super wide angle. I really enjoy it, and the wider the better, in my opinion. So there's that, because it's not easy, right? People say, gosh, how do you compose wide angle? You got so many elements coming in. Well, hopefully you get some ideas there, right? It's all about framing and simplifying the scene, looking for accents, looking for leading lines that lead to something. Having a light source like a sunrise or backlight, you know, these basic things in composition, I think generally make for a better photo. Okay, let's see. At least for me, right? Okay, the sound is better. Good, I'm glad. I'm glad that's better. Much better. All right. I don't know why, I just adjusted it slightly, but okay. So I have a Nikon D800 with 580,000 on the shutter that I can't sell, so I'm going to see if I can get it over 1 million just for fun. Oh, that's cool. And Darko says, Rob, have you seen the I'm Back film canister digital insert? I've seen that. Seriously, why try so hard, right? Just use an adapted lens on your mirrorless camera if you want to use vintage lenses, because that's the only thing it's doing for you. It's letting you use vintage lenses. Maybe I was looking at an older version of it, but it looked pretty janky to me, the way it all came together and you made it work. I think it's easier just to use an you know, a lens adapter, and so you can use vintage lenses on your camera, which I like to do sometimes. You could do an Ellie on tour project, yeah. And welcome, Mark. Good to see you. And welcome, ELJ. Welcome so much, and thank you so much for your support. Let's see. I dusted off my old OM stuff recently, put new batteries in, and they all work perfectly. OM1 ends, 2 ends. Oh, and that simple time was when the OTF metering was a big thing. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think the meters in mine work reliably. Because when I use the meter on one of my OM1 film cameras, these are old film cameras, the shutter is very erratic. So I turn off the metering and just dial in mechanically. I dial it in manually what I want. And 9.6 crashed on me using the AI mask. Okay. As opposed to it didn't crash before, but now it's crashing, I guess, right? I don't use the automatic AI thing where you say select people or select subjects. There's different selections there in the drop-down menu. I just use the mouse pointer or I draw a rectangle around the subject. In that sense, I haven't had any problems. I can't remember really last time it crashed when I just used the pointer or the rectangle tool. Now, when I used the AI tool, the couple times I used it since 9.6, it was fine, but it's just kind of slow. And sometimes it gets it wrong. So I'd rather just use the pointer tool. But definitely send reports into DxO when you get those kind of crashes. They're pretty diligent about updating and making changes. And the Bluebird pick is a great one. Oh, thank you. And Thomas says, not to talk bad news, but in response to the attack on Iran, Qatar shut down the LNG plant where it produces 1/3 of the world's helium supply. Prices for computer camera chips may skyrocket. Yeah, it's always a risk. Let's hope that's the only problem that we have here, that since we're not directly affected, at least I'm not directly affected by it, because I don't know anybody there. I don't have any friends and family in that area. But I just hope it's over soon, whatever happens. And Heather says, did you use the Lehoy way of capturing birds in flight? I think I have it. Yeah, I haven't watched his video on how he does it, but the gist of what I got when he was in the live stream was he just does full manual and uses the highlight shadow metering, highlight shadow blinkies to adjust his exposure. So to that extent, yes, that's what I'm doing. And Avina says, yeah, get a new device now. Okay. Maybe. So far, I'm getting by. I'm getting by with this, but if I continually run into issues where I can't process the things I need to process, then I may have to update. Hello from New York City. Please elaborate on your file name conventions. What does build 631 raw 1 mean? Okay, so build 631 is just whatever version of DxO Photolab. So it says DxO Photolab 9.6.0, and then they have a build number 631. So that's what I put in the file name. So that's all DxO Photolab naming convention. And then the raw 1, raw means that I processed the raw image, and the number 1 on the end just means that I processed it before and I wanted to compare it to a different way of processing. So I just added this a 1 to it. So I have 1 without the number 1 and I have 1 with the number 1. And then I compare those side by side to see the effect or changes that I made. That's all. And I ended up liking the one that had the 1 on it more than the one that didn't. And when you use Pro Capture, how do you keep the AF continually focusing on the movement? I'm just using CAF. I'm not sure exactly what your question is. Use Pro Capture. How do you keep? Because Pro Capture, there's 2 modes, SH1 and SH2. If you use continuous autofocus on SH2, it should keep up with the movement. And the Gray Vancini says, dang, I think you have some way of directing the birds. Very nice of them to pose and fly. Yeah. No, it was just I captured probably a couple hundred frames of that bird blinking like this. I got one really cool shot of him preening his feathers with his beak. So I'm gonna process that and post it later. Do you use a polarizer a lot on your landscape shots? I do. I do. It's I put it on my lens all the time. So like if you look at my 12 to 45, I have my polarizer on here. You can see it. And then even on my kit lens, I bought a polarizer for it, and I use it. I always use a polarizer. Not always, but a lot, a lot. And can you please check my work? Okay, I don't know where your work is on your YouTube channel. Arch Stellar. I'll take a quick look. I mean, if you want me to judge your videography, I can't help you there, but if you have photos. ARCHSTELARX. Okay, so what's going on here? NASA versus my telescope, so some astrophotography shorts. Looks okay. So you're only posting shorts, though. Okay. Okay, very nice. Good job on the moon. Yeah, it looks fine. Looks good. I mean, you really have some... I'm just scanning. Orion Nebula preview. I mean, for your astro stuff, I'm not really the right person to ask. I'm not a huge astro guy, and unfortunately, one of my friends passed away, was a really good astrophotographer. Okay. It's a lot of chat here. They're not photos, they are videos. I've done astrophotography with my telescope. I just want him to see it. Okay. Yeah, it looks fine. I'm not really, like I said, I'm not really an astro guy. I've done astrophotography, but YouTube has started making ads louder. Yeah, it sucks. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't often, but 9.5 did not crash. Okay. So what I would do is, I know this sounds silly. I mean, sounds typical, right, of tech support, but uninstall and reinstall it and see if that fixes it. That helped out Paul. Paul was having some issues with his 9.6, and he fully uninstalled and then reinstalled it, and then it was working fine. Would love it if they made digital adapters for old manual focus cams other than Hasselblad. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And John is here. The old OM film cameras use mercury batteries that are no longer available. Current batteries have different voltage, so the metering is off. And there are some special substitute, yes. There's also conversions, right? You can convert the battery compartment, so they put some sort of little resistor in there to drop the voltage, because the current batteries are 1.5 and I think the old ones were like 1.25, and that was throwing the metering off. When you try to use new batteries, and you can still buy the older batteries, or at least I haven't tried in years, but yeah, last time I remember I was able to buy them, the original voltage batteries for the OM cameras, but now it's just easier to just use a light meter or use your phone to measure the exposure, right? Rather than trying to fix the meter or convert it to the current battery voltage. I mean, if I was shooting with my old OM cameras all the time, I would think about converting it so it'll take the new batteries. But I just don't. Have you tried Affinity Suite from Canva? A little bit, a little bit. But I haven't really deep dive into it. I had the original Affinity, which I use time to time, like version 1.2 or something. And then, but then I got into Photolab, and I just really haven't used much else since then. And Adam says, I've been looking at some of the black mist type filters. Are these what they are cracked up to be? Not really. Some people like them. They just give a little bit of a soft glow, but maintain contrast. I think I have it in this one. I put it away, so I don't really use it anymore. No, that's my... That's that. What's this? That's an ND. I like my kaleidoscope, though. I like this one. Okay. Here we go. All right, so this is the black mist filter. Let me try and get the reflection off of it. That's without it. That's with. Ignore the green ring you see in there. That's a reflection. So that's with it, and that's without it. Let's see if I can get a split. Not really. I'm just messing up the autofocus. So not a big deal, right? I mean, it doesn't, honestly, it really doesn't look that different in your in-camera pictures. But you never know. Some people are very sensitive. They're like, "Oh man, this is awesome," or "Man, that really jacked up my image," or everybody has a different opinion about these. I used it for some portraits that I did, and it does help soften the sheen a little bit, like the oily spots on people's foreheads and things. I did notice that. It helped a little bit that. So for portraits, I don't mind using this. But for general photography, I didn't see, where's my, I can use this. Use my phone. But some people like to use it for the speculars. So here's my phone, right? You can see it sort of makes the speculars glow a bit too. Right? So there's that. So I have to try. I haven't really tried using it like at night in my night photography, but might be worth a try. Okay. I think I was a better photographer in my youth. I had better juju. Yeah. I wasn't a photographer in my youth. And let's see. I'm hearing ARM system may release a 50 to 200 f4 and a new pen body. Any thoughts? Both would be very welcome. You know, the more they can do, the better. I mean, I might buy the pen. I don't think I would buy a 50 to 200 because it's just not a focal length I really use. I need to be at 300 or more, or I need to be super wide. Kind of everything in between, I don't use a whole lot. I have my 12 to 45, and this does 99% of what I need that's not super telephoto or super wide. Once in a blue moon, I'll use a 35 to 100 for event photography. But between 100 and 200, very little use for me. I just don't have any applications that I need between 100 and 200. I really need to be well under 100 or well over 300. And Marco says 9.6 also downloaded GPU specific AI models, so install the latest GPU chipset drivers for all systems. Yes, I did do that. I'm not having any issues, and it is faster actually. I did notice some performance improvements. I can't measure them because I'm not able to keep my old version and new version together, right? But it does feel snappier, definitely. And oh, that's not for me. And John says, I had the voltage on my own one changed so that it will use current batteries. Yep, I've heard of that. Like I said, if I used the camera more, I would probably do that too. It's dinner time. Nice. Ooh. All right, Abhinav, thanks so much for joining me today. Have a great dinner. Making me hungry, actually. And he says, almost breakfast time, right? And let's see. The black mist makes you beautiful. You're too kind. He's looking a lot better today. Oh, I appreciate that. Let's see. So I like my kaleidoscope filter as well. Got mine at a yard sale for $2. I got mine on my deal page. I think I paid $10, something like that. 10 or 15. It's normally like 25 or 30. But I got it at a good discount. Okay. And Robert is here. Hey, Robert, good to see you again. It's good seeing you yesterday at the meetup. Robert is local to me, so we go out time to time with the photo club and do some photos. Actually, I didn't even show that picture. I better not. I don't know if Robert wants to be in the. Robert's in that picture, as well as myself and some other members. But okay, I don't see any other questions, and I feel like, let's see. Is there anything else I wanted to kind of hit on today? I've been printing more. There, well, here's a picture of us all together. Robert's over here. Well, I'm here, and Robert is over here. I think I can show this. But yeah, I love these little prints. I keep these in a little thing over here. In my little photo album. Like I said, things I do that I never talk about and show other people, you know. But I have all these little things. I need to put these in. Pictures of me and Ellie. mostly pictures of Ellie, but this will be a nice addition. I can put all these in here. Some selfies. This is a good selfie of me here. I like this one. And this is a good selfie of me and Ellie. Anyhow, that's what photography is really about, right? Is preserving those memories of you and those you care about. I think those are the most important photos, and those are the only photos I really care about and that I print generally. I mean, I have a lot of artsy-fartsy photos that I take, and all those bird photos, but I don't really like to print those because those are a dime a dozen, right? But these photos are irreplaceable. These ones of me and my dog and my friends and family. And that's why I got into photography, not for all the other stuff. I enjoy all the other stuff, but those are the things that matter to me. But anyhow, I have my neighbor is out leaf blowing, so I need to go because it's driving me nuts. But you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for your support, and special welcome to all my new members today. And thank you, The Great Vanzini, for supporting that membership as well and giving those away. And I want you guys to have a good day. Try to do that every day, and you'll have a good life. Eat healthy and exercise. Go out and take some photos. Thanks so much for being here, and I hope to see you guys all again